G, what do you got? You said something about...
Dude, I worked on a chili stand in New Mexico.
Here we go. Can't wait for this.
All right, so by the way, I did it for
classic Giulio story. Total out of left field curveball.
Yeah, right.
You worked on say it again.
A chili stand that was like part of this chili farm in New Mexico, on the side
chilies?
of the highway. Yeah, like the good ones. Like people would come for those 3 weeks during chili season or 3 months or whatever, and get their chili for the entire year.
Yeah, as we all know, chili season only lasts 3 weeks.
So yeah, this is like a very like New Mexico-y thing. Shout out Sickler Farms. My buddy from college, his family owned this like chili stand.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really popular or whatever. So I went for the weekend and somebody said this to me. I was telling them this story. I forget who, but a comedian. And they were just like, that's such white people shit to like go do hard labor for a weekend for personal experience. I was like, it really is. But anyway, so there was it's an interesting culture because it's like white people, a lot of Mexican people, and then Native Americans just all like equally coexisting in this like community of Albuquerque, which is where Breaking Bad takes place.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I saw some insane people behaving insane there. And you hear that that's what happens. Like there was a woman walking across the road at 6 a.m. wearing a pink velour jumpsuit and she had shit her pants. She's just in the middle of the road and the shit in her pants was so jarring compared to the light pink. It was crazy. I was like, this is insane. Then, so dude, insane
like a
shit
Charleston Chew, you know?
So dude, I'm hanging out with these Indians. I don't know if that's completely insensitive to call them Indians. You said Charleston Chew. That's insane.
I think they're pink. No, maybe they're not.
Yeah, they have them. The strawberry one.
The pink chocolate on the outside, pink in the middle. Okay, go ahead.
That's gross.
Go ahead.
Dude.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Jesus Christ. So then all this crazy shit started happening. Like these Native American Indians, whatever. I think calling them Native Americans is now also no longer PC.
Probably
I think
not.
you're supposed to say American Indians.
Yeah, but they're not all from America. Like the ones I was talking about were up in Ontario, which is why I think...
Right, but North America is still...
Okay.
Whatever.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Look, to any...
But they were all calling them
Native
Indians.
Americans listening to this through their conch shells, we apologize.
So one of the people was like, yeah,
Might
these
have
Indians...
to cut that.
No, they kept saying Indians, and I was like, isn't that offensive? They're like, what? They're Indians, dude. I was like, okay. Jesus.
Yeah.
So one of the guys he's like, my brother, his brother worked there. He's like, my brother can't come today. You know how they kind of talk like that? My brother, he was shot yesterday. We're like, what? Like Albuquerque's just ghetto like that. Also, it was freezing cold because it's the fall and it's the altitude is extrememely high.
Oh yeah.
Apparently marathon runners train in Albuquerque because you naturally dope your blood because the air is so thin.
Wow.
It's like training harder. So anyway, but it was still like 80 degrees. And these like Indians or whatever, I'm just going to stop saying.
Just say Indians. It's fine.
Indians,
I think
okay.
We're fine, yeah.
They're standing in front of the chili roasters being like, oh, it's a cold morning today. And I was like, what? It's fucking hot. And this guy's wearing like a flannel and like putting his hands in front of the fire. And I don't know if you've ever roasted chili before, dude. It's unbelievably difficult process. You're carrying these body bags of chili, dumping in this giant tumbling flame on hot concrete in the middle of a hot day. And like, you have to do that thousands of times. It's fucking
No,
nuts.
I have not roasted chilies before. No.
Okay. So anyway, one of the Indians showed up. Okay. And he was late. And I noticed that the woman who was in charge, she was like, it's okay that you're late. Just next time, don't be late. And she kind of like put her hand on his arm and she said that. And he was like, okay. And I asked my friend, I was like, why did she handle that way? And he's like, oh, dude, the Indians are all really sensitive. He's like, and if you say anything to them that's like too aggressive, they will get really, really sad and they'll go binge drink. And they can't handle binge drinking because like natural selection, they didn't have alcohol. So like the way that alcohol really affects them is because they just haven't had it in their like genes.
Is it an enzyme problem?
Maybe.
Kind of, yeah.
Some sort of thing like that. So I was like, that's insane. He's like, yeah, they're all really, really sensitive. And I was like, okay, dude, This is like, sounds like a really big blanket statement. So then later that night we go to a casino and I just notice all of these grown men crying.
Seriously?
Dude, I swear to God. So this guy was with his girlfriend, this like really overweight Native American guy. And he's dancing with his girlfriend and he's just crying because he's like loved her so much. He was crying. He was sobbing.
Wow.
I was like, it's fucking crazy, dude.
I thought it was going to be a big group of Native American guys losing money at the blackjack table crying.
I think they like own the
that's something
casinos.
I would do. Well, they do, but they still lose money.
Do they gamble too?
Oh, absolutely.
I guess. Right?
So yeah, there's a good book out there. I think it's called Killers of the Flower Moon. And it's about the Comanches, who were the last remaining true warrior tribe of the Midwest. And to hear how the Native Americans, especially the Comanches, the Apaches, some of the Sioux, how they ruled the plains, basically between like Kentucky and Colorado.
Oh, wow.
That whole middle 70% of the country belonged to the Indians.
Right.
And nobody could fuck with them.
Right.
And the reason was and this was like in the 1800s, from
Right.
like 1810 to 1890. And the reason was that they were so good at horseback riding that, and especially they were so good at waging war on horseback that nobody could challenge their supremacy over that land, including, the Texas Rangers, who eventually, organized forces to kind of combat them. But it was only developments in handguns and creating a repeating revolver that replaced like the single bullet loading musket revolvers and stuff like that. And the other thing was like a lot of the white men who would like the settlers who would try to protect their forts from the marauding Native American tribes. They would ride out to meet them, and then they would dismount and try to fight on foot. And the Indians would just ride through at breakneck speed, and they were, especially the Comanches, were so good at riding that they would do that thing that I saw recently in a John Wick movie, where they would drop down off the side of the horse, and they would use the horse as a shield as they rode through and shoot arrows from under the horse's neck.
That's fucking nuts.
From like the side.
That's sick, dude.
And they would do this at full speed, full gallop.
Badass. It's like turning me on.
Dude, they were the best warriors, and they were so good at this. And it was only like developments in the white men learning how to really ride horses, and also developments in arm, like a howitzer guns, things like that really kind of ended up turning the tide. And then we allocated lands for them. We basically gave Native Americans the entire state of Oklahoma. That was supposed to be tribal reparations. Like that was like, hey, go here. We're not going to touch you. That's yours. That's your reservation. And they would go there, and then we just kept shrinking their lands. We kept saying like we would rip up agreements and promises, and the federal government kept pushing west.
Horrible.
And we eventually just, relegated them in the end to a few acres at Foxwoods, Mohegan Sun, these places that you see now,
right?
That have become casinos. So
that's crazy, dude.
Yeah,
dude. Well, so one other thing that I remember thinking was insane at the chili farm, the guy who was the farmer, like the main farmer guy, he had these gigantic fucking hands. They were enormous.
Huh.
And we went out for a work bowling trip after the first night.
Oh boy.
And we all went bowling. And this farmer's hands were so big, his fingers couldn't fit in the slots. What oh boy. Did I just say sound insane?
Well, your story has just got so many beautiful nuggets in it.
Dude, it was a crazy weekend.
What the fuck were you doing in New Mexico doing this? What prompted you to do this?
My friend was like, dude, it's the best 3-day workout you'll ever get in your entire life. He's like, you'll drink 10 waters and not pee the whole day. It's going to be crazy. He's like, it's so much fun. You should definitely come. They ended up giving me a few $100 that I wasn't expecting. But then I tried to say no to.
You were planning to do this unpaid?
Yeah. I paid for my own flight too.
How long ago? When did you do this? How old?
2-3 years ago.
Was this around the time that you lit that forest on fire?
Maybe. I think I had already maybe done that, or maybe that was coming up.
God, I just find out, this guy's life. It's like walking down the beach with a metal detector.
You got to get out there.
And every once in a while you hear, and you're like, what's that? You cooked chilies with the Native American tribe in New Mexico, and then went bowling with the chief whose fingers were too fat for the ball, so he threw it like a softball.
Dude, so you know how like they'll bring in that relief pitcher who like he'll throw from the side, all weird for like 2 batters,
submariner.
Yeah, this is how he was throwing the bowling ball, and he was embarrassed, and he was launching it like he was so strong. He was launching it like 90 miles an hour down
Still
the fucking...
bouncing by the time it got to the pins.
It bounced, and then we were like, dude, and he just went, oh, I couldn't fit my fingers in the ball.
Ah, man, it makes me feel so bad. My heart breaks for the poor fat-fingered guy.
But he was so gigantic and strong, dude, like a true man. I was like, this guy's pretty awesome.
Like, who's Chief from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest?
Oh, yeah.
You ever seen that movie?
Yeah, it's a great fucking movie.
Wow, what a movie.
Really is a great movie.